Hi, this is Surya. Welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to talk about how to connect your own custom domain or subdomain that you got it acquired from your hosting provider to get it connected to an AWS application. We would see the configuration changes that we would need to do on the AWS end as well as on the hosting provider's end. Without any further ado, let's dive into the configuration and the changes that we need to do. For the demonstration purpose, we would use Lambda function where it would serve as an API. So to do that, I'm going to create a Lambda function. Create a function here, and then I would call it as demo. And then I would just leave it to node. And then I don't have to check anything here. So I will create a function. So it's going to take a couple minutes to create it. So now we got the demo application ready, and so if you see here, we get hello from Lambda. So I would just change this to hello world here, and then deploy it, and then I'll just test it. So now if I do a test, so see the hello world status is showing up. I'm doing it without a function URL. If you see here, if you create a function URL, it's going to create an URL, and then you can directly access the service from it. Once we have created this function, the next thing is we would need to link this Lambda using a gateway. Either we could use a CloudFront or a gateway. For this demonstration, I will just use the API gateway. So if you see here, API name, let me call it as demo API, and then review and create. And then for now, I will just say, okay, add integration. Then Lambda. Okay, so that's correct, I think. Demo. And then I hit next here. I need to add a route here. So it would be a get endpoint. I'm adding a get endpoint, and the intended target as the demo application. So I click next. So I will just leave the stage to default. And then deploy, I will turn it as auto deploy for the time being. Yeah, and then I will create this. So now I got the get endpoint, and then if I click on the API, I would have the endpoint right now. So if I click on it, I should be able to access the endpoint here. So this is gonna return me hello world, right? So and if we check the response type here, it's gonna be 200. Okay, so and it's the content type is still text.plain. So if you want to change it to something else like application or application/JSON, you still can do it. So I will just leave it as like text.plain for now. So we have got the API created. The intention is like to have the custom URL created, isn't it? So what we need to do is we would use demo.suryaprakash.com to have it mapped to this URL, right? The next step that we need to do to accomplish that is like to get a HTTPS certificate, which is the SSL certificate. Right now, if you see here, it's gonna be SSL. So we need to have an SSL certificate for our domain, subdomain or like domain, whatever it is. Right now, since we are using subdomain, I will stick with the subdomain. For that subdomain, we will create an SSL certificate. For that, I will go to the certificate manager, clicking on certificate manager. So I'm gonna request a new certificate. So new certificate, then next. Here it's asking for fully qualified domain name. So I'm just gonna use demo.prakash.com. So in this instance, I'm just gonna use my own domain name, and this is the subdomain that's gonna be hosted, and the URL that we are trying to redirect should be from demo.suryaprakash.com, right? So if you want to add a tag, you can go ahead and add it. And if you notice here, like there are two steps here: DNS validation, which is the recommended, and there is also email validation. In case if you opt for email validation, it means that AWS will send an email to the domain email that you have registered with your registrar. So if you had masked it, it might not send to you. It might get it sent to the domain registrar itself. Like, I can check that. Who is? If you navigate to who is, you can just type in suryaprakash.com, and if you see here, it's registered with IONOS, right? For my particular website, it's redacted for privacy. That's my configuration with IONOS. As per the documentation, it's gonna send it to info, or there are like 5 different emails that it's gonna send the email verification to. I will have to reply to that email, since it's gonna send it to the IONOS or like your GoDaddy, so you won't be able to get it validated via email, just in case if you have the privacy enabled. For the time being, what I'm gonna do is, like, I'm gonna stick to DNS validation because it's gonna be simple, straightforward and easy. So I'm gonna click on request. So if you see right now, the status is pending validation, and then if you see, we would get a CNAME. So this is the CNAME that I received right now. The next thing that I would need to do is I need to go to Route 53. Route 53 would act as authoritative server. You can have multiple DNS zone in here. To create a DNS zone, you can go here and then probably create a DNS zone. So in this case, I'm gonna call it as demo.suryaprakash.com. DNS zone is nothing but a place where you would add the list of records, say like A records or CNAME, SOA or whatnot, right? So you would add into the DNS zone. Okay, so now let's go ahead and create a hosted zone for it. So note that I'm gonna create a public hosted zone. If you are on a private VPC, then you would be using private hosted zone. And also note that it's gonna cost 50 cents. I'm gonna create a hosted zone right now. So I got the hosted zone created. So if you see here, I got a name server and start of authority here. These are all the allowed name servers, and this is the start of authority. So this is where the previous chain's authoritative server is gonna point to here. So we need to make sure the previous one points to here. How do we do that? We will look into it. Since we have already created the certificate, we just would need to create a record here, or like, we can go back there and then import that record. So this record importation is only required for certificate validation. So if I go back to the certificate manager, so list certificates. So I see the certificate right now, so I click on it. So if you see here, like it's pending validation. So we have created a DNS zone in the Route 53. So what we need to do, this step again, like, is just for the validation purpose. Like, once it's validated, you can feel free to remove it. So I'm gonna just I will just leave it as of now. I have added that. So now if I go back to the Route 53, right? So if I go back to the Route 53, okay, now I see 2 hosted zones. So if I go to demo.suryaprakash.com, I would see the CNAME added, right? Next, what I can do is I can launch PowerShell. All right, so I have launched the PowerShell in here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a NS lookup of type CNAME. So it's demo. So before that, I will just go back here. Let me duplicate it. So going back to the certificate manager, clicking on it, and if you see here, like, where is the refresh? I thought there was a refresh. Okay, I'll refresh here anyway. So if you see here, like it's still in the pending validation. So probably I will try to call this. Now it's gonna give my CNAME, so it's not connected because I have registered suryaprakash.com. However, I do not have the demo dot the subdomain registered, isn't it? In order to do that, I'll have to go back to my domain register. Now that I have logged in, I'm gonna click on home here, and then I'm gonna go to domains, and then I'm gonna go to the subdomains here. Oh, create subdomain, here it is. Okay, now I'm gonna do create demo. So now what would happen is this would create a subdomain demo.suryaprakash.com, right? Let's give it a try once it's live. Right now, let me go back here and then try. It still isn't live. Okay, now it's configured. Let me go back, hit it. Okay, now what I will do is I will go here and then adjust the destination. So I need to add a DNS record. Right now we do not have any records for DNS, demo.suryaprakash.com, right? So it's gonna land on INS authoritative server. So now from here I would need to redirect the traffic to the AWS. So to do that, I'll go here, and then now I would need to point the name servers here. So I will go back here. So if you see, this is the name server created like for this hosted zone. So I need to copy this values over here. There should be a way to copy it, like, let me select it. Okay, so here we go. So copy this and then go add it. Well, it's added. So you need to do it for all 4 of them. Okay, I'm gonna close this. It's confusing. Name server. I'm gonna add it here. All done. I'm gonna do again for this record. All right. So one more pendant, right? So I'm gonna copy this over, go over here and add the name server. All right. Okay. All right. So now we are done here. When it lands on demo.suryaprakash.com, it's gonna get it routed to this name server. Let's try now. Okay, it might take a little bit to. Okay, now here we go. So now we got it. For some reason it took a while for it to load, but yeah, so it might take a couple minutes to get it done. So now if you see here, like, demo.suryaprakash.com is redirecting to the AWS name servers, right? So it's gonna redirect to the AWS name servers, and if you check CNAME here, it needs to connect to the CNAME, right? So now if I go back to the certificate, it should get validated right now. All right, it might take a little bit to get it validated, but it should be done. Okay, CNAME. Here there is no error record. Probably, yeah, there is no error record. There is a name server. Let me try it twice with CNAME. Okay, here we go. So it took a little bit of time. So and then it says issued, and it's success right now. So it got created. If you want, like, you can remove it. I will just leave it as is. It's not gonna hurt anything. So right now what we have done is, like, if you go to demo.suryaprakash.com, so if you see, it's not taking you anywhere. Right now what we have done is we have connected the domain registers in, and we have done something on the AWS side. Now it's the part to connect both of them. Okay, so to do that, I will go to API gateway, and then I would need to create a custom domain. So I would need to go into the demo API. I would need to create a custom domain in here. I'm clicking on custom domain. So here the domain name, which I know, .com. So that's a custom domain. It's gonna be TLS2. So choose a certificate. So I got the certificate already created. So we created a certificate through the certificate manager. It should show up here. So we have added it. If not, I'm gonna refresh it, and it's eventually gonna show. So before you do this step, you just need to have the certificate issued, or else it's not gonna show up here. Okay, let me click on create domain. If you want to add a tag, you can go ahead and do it, but for the time being I will just leave it as is. Okay, all right, so now we got a domain created, right? And then now I need to do an API mapping for it. I'll go here, add a mapping again. So it's demo stage default. I don't have any paths, so I will just leave as is. So it says it's available. So I think we are all set on the API gateway side. So we got a API demo. So if we go here, this is right now is accessible. So which we already saw. Now is the last part. The last part is add in the A record of it in the Route 53's hosted zone. I'll go back here, click on the zone. I'll go into the demo zone, and then I would need to create a record here. So in here I will just do a simple routing, and then click here, and I'm gonna click on a define simple record. So it's gonna be demo. So if I have any other subdomain, I will just add it here, and then this is gonna be a record. And what do I want to connect it to is alias to API gateway. So region, I think East 1, right? North Virginia. Choose an endpoint. This is the endpoint that we created, I believe. So it's going to show up, and then you will have to match it up with. So let me define a simple record. So then create record. So the Route 53 propagates your changes to all the Route 53 authoritative DNS servers within 60 seconds. Okay. So I can just check the status of it. It's still pending. So it's gonna take 60 seconds. It's not 60 seconds right now. Okay, it's sure. Let's go back and see what happened. Okay, I see the A record right now here. So it's been assigned to execute this endpoint. It's gonna route the traffic to here. So it usually looks like not found. Interesting. Okay, let's go and see why it's not found. Route 53. Not Route 53, API gateway, because that's where we created the API gateway. Okay, demo API, get. It's custom subdomains. It's the one that I need to click. Available API mapping. I think this is the name that showed up there, isn't it? So API mapping, I think I got it mapped to default. Let me go and see. Go to the stage and try to deploy it. I just need to disable the automatic deployment. Okay, for the time being, and then just try to select the stage and then deploy. All right, now let me see what happened. Ideally that the other step wasn't required, right? So while after a little bit of time, so probably around like 10 minutes, I would say, I got back the response. All right, so now if I go back here and then do now I would see the a record, right? So now we are able to connect the endpoint to the custom endpoint to the Lambda. So we can also use CloudFront instead of API gateway if we need to, but since this is just a demonstration, I will just leave it as is. That's it for this video. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you would like to read a text version of the same, I have dropped it as a Medium link in the description box below for your reference. Feel free to take a look at it. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.